Hey everyone, this is Ross, and in today's video I want to talk to you guys about my fig cuttings, what's been going on in here, talk about my failures so far, my successes so far, and then where we're going from here. It's pretty obvious now that a lot of this has been in here for quite some time, at least a reasonable amount of time. 2 months, some of these have been in here. A lot of these with the white tags have been in here for at least a month and a half. To 2 months. And I have some back in here which have just been sort of freshly rooted within the last month or the last month and a half. You can see on these right here, this is a pretty good representation of what happens about 25 days in on average. You can see these guys are just starting to leaf out. I imagine they probably have some good roots to them. We're taking off any figs if we see any figs forming. And these are, you know, what they're going to look like probably in the next 2 weeks is that they're going to start putting out some really strong growth, big leaves, thick growth here. And that's what we want to see, healthy leaves. If we're not seeing some healthy leaves, it's a good tip here. And what I have not really done so far is that you need to start feeding these. And we need to also be on top of the water. I've been really neglecting my trees. That's one of the big failures I've had. So you can see this, if the tree has sort of stopped growing, that's a good indicator that we need to have some feed in here, some food, and we also need to be on top of that water, because this tree pretty much put out these 5 leaves. You can see some FMV or some chlorosis here on the leaves. They don't look that healthy, and they've just stopped growing. Whereas if you look at the pot behind it, this guy just continually keeps putting out new growth. That's what you really want to see. You really want to see that continual growth effort. Otherwise, they're probably needing something. And that's sort of what I'm doing now, is just looking over these trees and seeing what needs some maintenance and coming in here and doing that maintenance. The next time I come in here with some water will be with some liquid fertilizer that is diluted. You guys can use anything you want, but it should be pretty good amount of nitrogen that again is diluted, that's water soluble. That works out really well. And these guys will get a nice boost. So that's all it is in terms of maintenance, what I need to do and come in here. Here's another bin that has been really freshly rooted within about 3 weeks to a month and a half now that these have been in here. Actually, these are even fresher. These are some of the freshest ones I have. So these have been in here, I think, for 3 weeks to a month. And you can see there's pretty positive results, some good activity. We're doing all the right things in this. And there's a big difference between this bin here, the success rate I've been seeing here, with sort of the success rate that I was seeing with the ones with these white tags. And this is the big failure, I think, this year, is that we just had the improper soil for some of these with these white tags. You can see, like in this bin right here, we're missing quite a bit. You can see they have the white tag, but there's no tree. And I pulled one out just now, and you can see the bottom of this is rotted. The bark's coming off, there's no green cambium. The bottom is rotting, basically because there's too much moisture in the soil, not enough aeration. The cutting quality could also play a part into this. You know, how long was it in storage for? What were your storage conditions like? Also, how thick is the cutting? That's a really good indicator as well. But the majority of this is going to be based off your soil, and that's my biggest failure this year, is that I didn't have the soil that I really wanted to use. I do have some Just Natural mushroom compost that we used in these more fresher bins that I showed you guys that are just having so much more success, because we had to change over. As soon as I realized that the soil was having too much moisture in it, not enough aeration, we had to change over to a different soil. Again, it's the Just Natural mushroom compost. I wish I had my Just Natural soil conditioner that we've used in the past, and I've used for everything: seeds, my garden beds, my fruit trees, these fig cuttings we did last year. But the nursery nearby, if you guys saw the video recently, we talked about soil and what we're looking for in a garden soil. The nursery nearby doesn't carry the Just Natural brand anymore. And I've had to resort to the leftover bags of mushroom compost, and then the woman there who runs the nursery is pushing this other product. I tried it, it's no good. That's kind of what's happening here in these pots, is that it just isn't well draining enough. It's not made of the materials that I like, and there's just not enough airflow in there. So as a result, we switched up the soil. I can't go back now with some of these, but it is what it is. You have to really be able to adjust and not be so rigid in what you're doing. Be willing to change some things up. Stick to whatever is working, but don't be afraid to change your, whatever it is that you're doing, because you need to recognize what's not going right accurately and then change that, make that right change. So we changed the soil and we're seeing such a different success rate just from that. So that's sort of the big failures this year. That's sort of what everything looks like, whether it's 2 months in at most, or about a month or a month and a half in. And then where we're going here is really quite simple, guys. We're just in the maintenance phase right now. So again, we're gonna be feeding them, we're gonna be watering them, keeping these lights on for the same amount of time, keeping the heat up in here, right? Not changing the environment all that much. What I could do very soon is close this door, and that is essentially going to make it even warmer in here and really kickstart some of these into growing a lot quicker. That combined with some fertilizer is really going to make things go nuts in here. The last point is that once everything's said and done, we get everything out of here, because we're almost into early March now, so we really don't have a whole lot of time left in this closet that we can move them then outside and adjust them then. But I want to make sure before I get them all outside is that they need to be hardened up. I want to see some good thick growth, and I want to see that growth to start lignifying here. So this one here is actually quite thick. You can see it's growing quite well. It's putting out that new leaf there, and you can see sort of at the base that it's sort of starting to get a little bit lignified. That's what we want to see, because that lignified growth is then telling us that we have some lignified or hardened up roots in the pot. These trees will be very easy to transition them into a different environment. They're not going to suddenly die or wilt or lose a whole lot of something, because they are lignified, but specifically those roots are hardened up. So that's what we're looking for. I would suggest that if you guys have more questions, put them down in the comments, but also we've done a whole playlist on this whole process from A to Z. I'm going to add this video to that playlist. You guys can go back at any point in time and watch the process of where we're at in the season compared to where you guys are. So you guys know exactly what you need to do. So thank you guys for watching this one. Well, check us out on Fig Boss, Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you guys soon. All right, take care. And I hope everybody's cuttings are doing well, all right? See you later, guys.